Hey guys, Danny Pahar here with my weekly cybersecurity tip video. The theme of this week's video is cybersecurity awareness training for employees. You know, this is a solution that so many people put in place and we put so much importance on, but oftentimes people get frustrated with it because they'll say, you know what, Danny, the program I put in place gave my employees a lot of information, a lot of gamification, a lot of certification, but at the end of the day, it didn't do the one thing that I needed it to do, which was changing behavior towards safer cybersecurity practices. If you're in this boat, I think you're going to appreciate this video. Now, if you're in this boat, the program you put in place attempted to tackle the problem most likely by seeing it as coming from a lack of information. In other words, employees not knowing what to do. And that's part of the problem, but another huge part of the problem that we overlook is it comes from a lack of proper motivation. In other words, not knowing why this matters to me. So let me explain. Let's talk about understanding risk for a second. If you talk to anybody who understands risk for a living, like somebody in insurance as an example, and you ask them, hey, how do you break down risk? They're going to most likely talk about breaking it down in two main categories, the impact and the probability. And as a society, when it comes to the risks associated with cybercrime, we are very good. We've come a long way and we're very good at understanding the impacts. You talk to the average citizen and you ask them about that and they'll tell you, yeah, the impacts, they're pretty bad. I hear millions, billions, some might even say trillions. We get it. And I think because we get it, I think we understand the risks. But the problem is knowing the impacts is a part of it. We don't really know the probability. This is where we really drop the ball because your average citizen is going to tell you, yeah, the impacts are bad, but it's not going to affect me. They might come after my boss. They might come after a much bigger company, but they're not going to affect me. So keeping that in mind. So what happens when that's a problem, when we don't think the probability is going to affect us? Let me give you an example. So let's say you grew up living on an island, and let's say that island has no cars and never will have any cars on that island, and you love it there, and you work there, and live there, and play there, and you have no intention of ever leaving that island. And all of a sudden, your boss one day comes up to you and says, hey, listen, you need to take this online driver's ed course. You're going to be like, why? I'm never going to drive. I don't need a license. This is a complete and utter waste of my time. So what's your boss going to do if you say something like that? They might say, well, it's mandatory. They might motivate through fear of some sort of consequence. So what are you going to do? You're going to be like, all right, well, I'm going to do enough of this to get this guy off my back. Click, 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 done. So then your boss might say, well, hey, listen, you better pay attention when you take that course because I'm going to have a test at the end proving that you've paid attention. Well, it's an online test done about best practices using a computer that you are connected to online. Of course you're going to pass. You can pass that thing without reading the course. Everybody passes, everybody gets certified. So then your boss thinks, okay, well, you know what? Motivating through fear alone of consequence and testing is not really working, so let me gamify it, right? We love those in this industry, in the e-learning industry, they love overusing the term gamification. And I think we put in so much value on that term, like, oh yeah, that's going to solve all of our problems, right? But imagine somebody thinking, well, you know what? I completely don't care about this. This is completely irrelevant to me, but wow, you're telling me you turned it into a crossword puzzle? Well, now I guess I'm going to take it seriously. Has that ever worked for anyone? Here's the thing. If you want your employees to be trained on cybersecurity awareness training, you've got to do something more than simply emailing them out some sort of program and getting them to play some sort of game or take some sort of test. That certification is only providing you a false sense of security. What you really need to do, what it really starts with, is you having a conversation with them. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, some of you that have a lot of offices, Danny, I can't have a conversation with them, too many offices. Well, here's the best part. Because of COVID-19, so many people are working from home. Get everyone to jump on a webinar. We've now trained ourselves. We're good at getting information out like that. And have a real conversation, a real-time instructor-led conversation with them about why this is so important, not just to the company, but why this is so important to them and, of course, their families. You guys have heard me talk enough right now about how important this stuff is even for people's families. Get the message out to them, get them to care about the probability, then they'll be able to soak in that information. It's not just coming from a lack of information, it's coming from a lack of proper motivation. So I got a great document that talks about merely sharing information versus actually changing behavior with regard to safer cybersecurity practices. If you want that document, let me know. I'll make sure to get it over to you, and that's really what I suggest you do. I think training is absolutely important, but it's often done wrong. And stay well, stay safe. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. We're going to get through this together.